The news hit Toronto like a winter storm in July. Headlines screamed from every phone screen. Tech bloodbath continues. Another giant slashes workforce. For months, digital tremors had been building, hushed conversations by the coffee machine, nervous glances in meetings. The promise of Canada, the land of opportunity, was starting to feel like a fragile dream. For thousands of U.S. immigrants, the ground was shifting beneath our feet. I remember reading those articles from my desk on the 45th floor, the city sprawling below, a glittering mosaic of ambition. I was a senior software developer, living the life my family in Manila dreamed of. Yet, as layoffs grew louder, a strange detachment crept in. What would happen if this structure I'd built my life around simply disappeared? I had embraced the freedom of anonymity, the well-stocked bank account, the expensive condo. But this freedom was solitary, lived within four walls and sterile office cubicles. The city was full of people, yet I often felt like a lonely astronaut floating in a vast, indifferent space. The headlines weren't just about numbers, they were about people like me, who had left everything for a shot at the Canadian dream. Now we were disposable, a line item to be trimmed. The dream shimmered like a mirage, dissolving as you tried to grasp it. My condo was my castle, a sleek box in the sky with breathtaking views of Lake Ontario. I had everything: espresso machine, giant TV, a bed like a cloud. This was the prize for my hard work, the proof of my success. But a fortress can also be a prison. The silence was deafening. After work, I'd come home to this perfect empty space. My interactions were mostly digital. A quick text, a video call to my parents, assuring them everything was great. The high-rise was full, but I didn't know a single neighbor. We were ships passing in the night, eyes glued to our phones. My mother once asked, "Anak, do you have friends over?" I laughed it off. "It's different here, Ma. In Manila, our home was always full. Neighbors dropping by, cousins sleeping over, a beautiful mess of life. Here, my life was organized, clean, and sterile. The community I'd taken for granted was nowhere to be found in this vertical village of strangers. The loneliness was a quiet ache I tried to ignore. I filled weekends with errands and solitary walks, telling myself this was independence. But deep down, I felt a growing unease. My beautiful condo was not a home. It was a gilded cage. I was disconnected not just from a community, but from myself. My job was prestigious, a big name in tech, an impressive title, challenging projects. On paper, I was a success story, climbing the corporate ladder. I solved complex problems, sent money home, lived a life of material comfort. But corporate life was a slow erosion of my spirit. Days blurred together, 10, 12 hours in front of a screen, pressure always looming. We spoke in metrics and KPIs. Our humanity was secondary to productivity. We were cogs in a machine, easily replaceable. The stress was constant. I felt like a ghost haunting the office. Meetings were transactional, relationships shallow. The camaraderie I remembered from home was absent. Each promotion brought fleeting satisfaction, quickly replaced by new pressure. I was earning more than I'd ever imagined, but losing myself in the process. My creativity served a corporate agenda. My energy went to projects that felt meaningless. I was building a digital world for others, while my own inner world crumbled. I was a successful professional, but increasingly unhappy. I was disconnected from any real sense of purpose or joy. It arrived on a Tuesday morning. Subject line: important update regarding your role. My heart skipped. I knew what it was. For weeks, the digital guillotine had been falling. Now, it was my turn. I opened the email. Restructuring, synergies, difficult decisions. I had been laid off. The initial feeling was numbness. I looked around the office, everyone typing, unaware my world had just collapsed. The HR meeting was brief and clinical. Severance details, system access, disabled. In 15 minutes, my 8-year career was over. Walking out, the city felt alien and hostile. My identity, so tied to my job, was stripped away. Who was I without my job? Just another casualty of a market correction. Back in my silent condo, reality sank in. The four walls, once a symbol of success, now felt like a prison. I had sacrificed so much, missed family events, traded warmth for ambition. And for what? To be discarded with a single, heartless email. The layoff was more than the loss of a job. It was the collapse of a dream. Was this dream even worth it? In the days after the layoff, I felt adrift. My structured life vanished. No more alarms, meetings, or deadlines. The silence in my condo was absolute, broken only by anxious thoughts. I scrolled through job postings, updated my resume, but my heart wasn't in it. The thought of returning to another high-pressure job filled me with dread. During a late-night video call, I finally told my family the truth. I'd lost my job. I braced for disappointment, but my mother's voice was warm. "It's okay, Anak. You can always come home." My father nodded. "Your room is still here. We miss you." Their words were a lifeline, a whisper of a different kind of life. Memories flooded in. My mother's adobo, family laughter, the feeling of belonging. These weren't memories of achievement, but of simple, everyday joy. The idea started as a whisper, then grew. What if I went back? Not for a vacation, but for good. It meant giving up the Canadian dream, but also a chance to reconnect with my family and myself. For the first time in a long time, I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe freedom wasn't about having more, but about belonging more. The decision to move back was easy. The hard part was dismantling the life I'd built in Toronto. Selling my condo was the first step, a sanctuary turned asset. When the sale was finalized, I felt relief, as if a weight had lifted. Sorting my belongings, I realized how much of my life was a performance. I packed a few sentimental items, everything else I sold or gave away. It was a cleansing, a shedding of a skin that no longer fit. Goodbyes were quiet, no big parties, just a few polite dinners. Colleagues wished me well but couldn't understand why I'd trade a first-world life for uncertainty. To them, I was moving backward. For me, it felt like moving forward. The connections weren't deep, so the farewells weren't tearful. The flight to Manila was a journey between two worlds. As the plane took off, I looked down at Toronto's lights one last time. No regret, only peace. I was leaving material success, but emotional poverty. I was flying toward a future unknown, but one I was choosing for myself. I was not just unpacking my suitcases. I was unpacking my soul. Landing in Manila was an assault on the senses, in the best way. The airport doors opened to humid air, the smell of street food, the sound of a dozen conversations, and then I saw them, my family, waiting with open arms. The loneliness of Toronto vanished instantly. My old room was a time capsule of my youth. The house was filled with familiar sounds and smells. My mother's cooking, my father's radio, children's laughter. Neighbors dropped by with plates of food. "Welcome home," they said. Life here moved at a different rhythm, fluid, spontaneous, centered around people. Afternoons were for merienda, weekends for big, loud gatherings. I rediscovered the joy of simple conversations, of just being present. I was no longer a ghost in a machine. I was a son, a brother, a friend. I started helping my cousin's small business, using my tech skills in a more personal way. The work wasn't prestigious, but it was meaningful. I began teaching coding to neighborhood kids, rediscovering parts of myself I'd forgotten. I was no longer just a software developer. I was a person, whole and complete. The trade-off was clear. I swapped a six-figure salary for a modest, unpredictable income. The financial security was gone. My bank account became a practical tool, not a source of pride. Some old colleagues might see my new life as a failure. Smaller house, older car, no corporate prestige. But what I gained was immeasurable. I traded corporate stress for the peace of watching the sunrise with coffee on my parents' porch. I traded performance reviews for the joy of teaching a child to code. I traded the silence of my condo for the noise of a full house. I had less money, but more life. My days were about cultivating connection, not maximizing productivity. My wealth was in relationships, not my bank balance. I had time for family, for neighbors, for myself. Of course, there were challenges, traffic, bureaucracy, imperfections, but the difficulties were shared. I was no longer facing struggles alone. I had traded the illusion of control for the reality of communal support, and it was the best deal I'd ever made. For years, I believed freedom was something you earned through hard work and financial success. Canada promised me this freedom, the freedom to buy, to live, to be independent. I achieved it, but it felt empty, a satellite orbiting, never touching. The layoff, which felt catastrophic, was actually a liberation. It shattered the cage and forced me to reconsider what freedom means. Moving back taught me that true freedom is about interdependence, not isolation. It's the freedom to be your authentic self, surrounded by people who know and love you. It's freedom from the constant pressure to perform and accumulate. It's joy in simple things, a shared meal, a good laugh, a quiet morning. Success is no longer about climbing a ladder or bank balance. Success is waking up at peace, seeing pride in my parents' eyes because I am happy. It's using my skills to help my community in small, meaningful ways. This version of success is quieter, less glamorous, but infinitely more fulfilling. I once thought home was a place you leave to find your fortune. Now I know for some of us, home is the fortune. Canada promised freedom, but I found it here, in the Philippines. I am finally, truly home.